informal meeting for November 7th, 2016. It's amazing how we just moved from one meeting to the next. And this was to go set, but the treasurer's report is on your desk for the period ending October 31st, 2016. Committee reports are on your desk. We have communications. First communication is from legal advisor Ken Dow, providing an opinion on council regarding the validity of removal by President DiStefano of council member Garriga from the police committee. And the second communication is from Joe Fierro of American Glory regarding food vendors during the Winter Walk 2016 event. Joe, you're here. Would you like to address the council?
Hello. I wrote a letter last week simply inquiring into a rumor that was running through the restaurant community of food trucks lining Warren Street during Winter Walk. So I put it out there. I got a lot of feedback from some people who have heard the same rumor, and some people who heard nothing. And it was simply a request for information. During that time period, I had a great conversation with Gary from the Opera House, who came over and explained exactly what was going on. I understood. Have no grievance against it whatsoever. As a matter of fact, came up with what I think are some pretty productive ideas for next year, where the city might not have to go out and utilize people from outside the city and rather use the local brick and mortar businesses to set up perhaps grab-and-go stands at various locations to hopefully supply enough food to the people that are coming to the community. In addition, I made a further recommendation that these food vendors, when they do come in from out of the city, should be taxed in the form of a commission, the same way I am. My company works as a concessionaire at various concerts throughout the United States, New York State, not throughout the United States. And we're taxed 20 to 30% on our revenue. And I don't see any reason why somebody from outside of Hudson shouldn't be taxed the same way. And that money should go to the Opera House. They do a lot to bring people to the city. Should go to the city. I think the city makes a mere $15 on every outside vendor. So my letter was to inquire into whether or not the streets were going to be lined with trucks. To learn, they're not. There's going to be one or two trucks. There are going to be some of the same table vendors, the kettle corn guy, and Steve Walsh selling his Brazilian candies, and that's all that's going on. So I had a request. The request was answered. I understood. It became productive, I think, for the Opera House and for the city, I hope. And that's all that I have to say. I didn't write this letter. It wasn't about me. It wasn't for gain. It was actually at the request of at least 5 other restaurant owners. I get these questions from time to time. I'm one of the first wave to come up here. About 6 or 7 restaurants followed: Fish and Game, Cafe La Perche, or the Wonder Bar. I think Helsinki even opened up after me. It doesn't matter, but people call me. They call me, they ask questions, and they ask what I know and if I've heard anything. And I just wanted to let the council know that I think my letter was productive. Gary and I got to have a wonderful conversation, and I think he walked away and told me with some great ideas. And that's what I have to say. I know that Lyle Lentz from the Wonder Bar would like to come on up. I think Lyle has a couple of issues that he'd like to address with respect to the situation.
Well, like I said, I agree with everything Joe said, and I did come to him when I found this out. He's an ally and a peer of mine. My only concern was the issue that food trucks do, in some capacity, take money away from the restaurants that are in town, the brick and mortar, the guys that employ lots of people and pay lots of taxes, and gives it to outside town money. So that was a concern. The other concern for me, and for really the whole 700 block, I feel, is that there's constantly an issue of, whether it be a parade or any kind of event, winter walk, that the crowds stop at the park where the sidewalks end, basically, the nice sidewalks end. We've done some things and added streetlights, and that whole block, I think, is growing faster than any other block in Hudson, rather. My concern is putting food trucks in the park would then also have a stop there where the people would stop at the park and then eat there, and they would perhaps damage business for Park Falafel and Grazing and all the way up to Wasabi. So those are my only concerns. I know there's nothing we're going to do this year, but maybe next year we could do things differently. That was it. Joe was very helpful, and the word was out, and we talked about it, and he has some great ideas about having the brick and mortars do it next year instead, or in conjunction with the food trucks, but I think it's been a good process for me.
How many trucks have been issued permits?
Three.
Three?
And we have always worked to make sure that anybody who is a vendor that night, which last year was a total of 14, and fewer than 10 were people that were selling food, which include people with carts and then Girl Scouts selling cookies and hot chocolate. Not a big number, but we always work to place them somewhere where they're not competing with any existing business and where maybe it's going to help enliven the street a little bit. So in this year in particular, because we have heard concerns about above 7th Street and below 3rd Street, we're always looking to shape the event in a way that it can help the crowds that now come to this extraordinary event, thanks to everyone's support that makes it possible, to help the event sort of spread out as much as possible. So right now the number is 3, it might be as high as 4. We'll see what happens between now and Winter Walk, but we're not anticipating or interested in a barrage of applications. And we always work very closely to sort of curate the event. We really don't want, the things that would make this a sort of New York City street festival. We really want locally sourced, Hudson Valley-based people that are interested in selling food, because one of the things that we hear frequently from families is, they're out there with their kids and they want to find sort of grab-and-go food, and so that they can keep winter walking. They don't actually want to go in and sit down, even if they could get in, because our experience and many of the restaurateurs report back to us that they are packed that night. It's one of their best nights. We're thrilled with that. We love that. We wouldn't ever want to do anything to hurt that. We just want to help the participants that come to this event have a good time and be able to have something to eat. So that's the only thing that motivates us. And again, we try and be really sensitive about where we place people.
Gary, and I want to thank you. You stepped right up and you walked right across the street and you spoke with me and spoke with Lyle, and that's all.
Talk with Lyle, but I know my colleagues.
I know it's right, but
I appreciate that.
And we're working with the Hudson Business Coalition. I mean, we're very open to people's ideas and input on this event. It has grown beyond what I think anyone could have ever imagined. This is the 20th year, and it's phenomenal what has become. And every year as it grows, we sort of have to learn from it and shift it a little bit. But what's important to us, and I think Ellen would underscore this, is that it remains a sort of homemade, homegrown Hudson event, that it doesn't become a sort of generic street festival. And I think that's why, even when Sinterklaas moved into our turf in Rhinebeck and moved on to the same night, we haven't lost any crowds. In fact, our crowds have just continued to get bigger, because Hudson is such a unique community, and that event is such an expression of this unique community. And we love that about it, and we want to keep that exactly like that to the best that we can. So the more it's like Hudson, we feel like, yay, we're successful, and that's what we want.
Thank you.
I do have another issue I'd like to bring to the attention of everyone. I received a response from one of the aldermen in this room right now to my inquiry that was disgusting, it was discriminatory, and it was so low that I shake when I think about how I felt when I read that letter. And I want to know how somebody like that can be an elected official of this city. It was disgusting. I am legally handicapped. How dare you embarrass me in front of a forum of professionals? What is wrong with you? Have you no dignity? I am a legally handicapped man. How dare you?
Excuse me, sir?
You're actually parking in a handicap.
I am parking in a handicapped spot that I am entitled to park in. I have a handicap pass and I am legally handicapped. How dare you? Discriminatory, that's who you are.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Ask is appointing Commissioner of Deeds. Can I have a introduction in a second, please? Tiffany? Have a second? Bob? The next resolution is contracting with OpenGov for financial reporting and transparency. Can I have an introduction and a second, please? Mike?
Do we actually get to see the contract, or should we just vote on the summary?
We had the contract last month.
I'm here on my desk.
I'm sorry, who was the second to the introduction?
Who was the second?
I had my hand up, but I didn't hear you call me.
Tiffany? We had the contract last month.
I never saw a contract. I don't have a contract. I have this resolution that has nothing attached to it. I'd like a contract.
I will see that you have a contract tomorrow morning. Does anybody else need a contract also?
Well, if nobody else has it, I suppose all the members need it.
Yes.
Thank you, I'll take care of it. The local law remains on the Alderman's desk. The proposed local law, introduction number 5 for 2016, amending the city zoning law as it pertains to the westerly side of Hudson Avenue.
I don't have that.
No?
Yeah, that's the same document we had months ago.
I don't have a copy of what you're talking about.
Huh? No, it's not in tonight's packet because it was in packets before.
Well, we have time to get it before next week. Let's just make sure that we get it.
Yeah.
Full environmental assessment for proposed local law introductory number 5 for 2016, amending the city zoning law as it pertains to the Westland. We received by email today the assessment form, so we have that also. Is there anything else to discuss tonight? Anything from the public? Heather?
I'd just like to say, since I spoke so adamantly about it in the last meeting, I will speak equally adamantly about it tonight. I would encourage you to pass the OpenGov resolution. I know that many of you were otherwise occupied when the ideally not great, given the fact that, as Tiffany Martin Hamilton said, our technology in City Hall is not ideal. So I know the presentation to the council was not great. I would be happy to, both send you a link to other cities that are currently using it so you can take a look on your own, and or I'd be happy to walk you through one-on-one what the software does. But basically, in simplest forms, it's a very easy to use graphical interface that will take the city's budget data and financial information and be able to let both the council, the department heads, and the taxpayers at large really see where their money's going, how it's being spent, and I think that's a good thing.
It was very low cost, was it not?
At a very low cost.
Is that included in the budget for next year?
Yes.
Okay, that being said, anybody else? Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Henry, Alexis, thank